Hi guys, this is Sydney. So I was actually enjoying my food right here. I was craving something desserty, bready. So I made this and I recorded the recipe or how the procedure to share it on Patreon for those of you who may resonate and need this to start their own journey of choosing different diets for ascension. So I had no thought or plan or intention of being on camera, and then I was just eating, and then suddenly, oh, maybe I should share this message. So I don't know what's going to come, how it's going to show up, because yesterday I've been doing a lot of meditating, reflecting, some information. I mean, information comes every single day, every like second, just that I need to dissect it and consolidate, or in a way, wait for divine timing for more information. So there were certain information that came, and today where I am is the 20th of March, just one day before the 21st of March, which is the astrological new year for the collective. So because I was in the middle of eating, I'm actually still feeling a little bit hungry. So if you want something quick, this is I used organic quinoa powder, and I put in some 100% organic cacao chocolate and some date syrup and a little bit of different powders like sea salt, bit of Ceylon cinnamon, nutmeg powder, ginger powder, pistachio paste, and then I wanted more like creamy or nutty, like a cake, and because I'm moving around, I don't have an oven, so I came up with this idea, and it just takes 5 to 7 minutes. It's really quick whenever you crave something sweet. And if you have an oven, you can use that batter and put it in the oven and make it more like more crispier, or however you like the texture, like more bready. This is like more creamy, so I added in more pistachio here paste, and I just mixed this in. It's a bit doughy, but you know, it's more cooked than doughy. So I used a stainless pan or pot. I carry that around. Here, for some reason, yeah, I keep mentioning pistachio paste and my love for it. I like to eat this with some fruit on the side. So I have the whole melon here next to me. So you can use the scoop, and then here it's like having a really nice dessert time. Just what I needed. So I'm just enjoying like cooking, and I've been doing this for many years, and I thought I want to share this for people, and it's very it's pretty simple. and you don't need a lot of this big equipment. And we have this conception we need an oven to do this or this equipment to do that, but if you have very limited resource, you can be very creative and innovative and be resourceful that way. So another bite. This is like having these cakes that I saw at the mall yesterday, you know, with the pie and the lots of strawberries or melons on top, you know. Nowadays I can't eat, and now I'm enjoying this at home when I crave it. So so tomorrow is like the spring equinox, start of the new year, the spring season. Oh, and I want to show you my necklace that I made again. Here, I'm enjoying making all these things. I bought like a whole bunch of other stuff to make more because it's quite available in Osaka. It's very easy to find like fabric shops or these like, they have all this different stuff that I can make jewelry. And I was cruising around 2 days ago because I wanted to connect with the water. I was just walking, you know, like intuitively, just flowing. And I ended up going to this district where they sell there are a lot of shops where they have like crystal shops and like crystal jewelry shop, like where you can buy like these things to make your own jewelry, but it was wholesale. So I couldn't, you know, they said they only do wholesale. And then I was just cruising around, and then I found this little shop where they sold all these like different crystals, and you can buy like individually. So I was drawn to this limonite here, and limonite is the first time that I'm getting. So everywhere I go, I don't usually seek out crystal shops or crystals. It's more like they come to me when I'm not seeking. So I'm just cruising around and I find it, and intuitively I know, and I go in. And usually how I connect with crystal is that I don't go with the mind once again. It's more like intuition. And then I just scan the energy and then I go. And then this was one that I was drawn to. So that's how I connect, and in divine timing. And also this Dalmatian jasper, I got this for the first time. So I bought all the string, I connected here, and I had the leftover, the string from the jewelry that I made with the stones that I bought in Bangkok. And then I just bought the little, how you can connect all this like a professional jeweler, right? They sell all these different parts, so I bought them. And then I bought like a week ago to make, you know, when the jewelry from Bangkok. I was cruising around once again because I couldn't make that jewelry because I needed like a punch, or how is it called? Like a snapping, like these tools to cut that string that's like a kind of a metal. And I was going around just to look around and seeing the city, and then all of a sudden I found this shop where they had all this like equipment, and I went in wondering if they had this, and then they had it, so I bought those like the cutting metal cutting thing and this other stuff. So I just used that to cut And then it's really it's pretty simple when you have all these equipments ready. So if you are someone who also enjoy this kind of stuff, or if you want to try something like this, that you're drawn to it, yeah, I would say try and see if you like it. And I'm really enjoying having this, and I'm just like, oh, happy because I made this. So so I'm curious, how are you guys feeling as we are entering into like the Aries season? Pisces season, for the collective, from what I tapped into, could have been pretty intense emotionally, as I keep mentioning, in many different ways for different individuals. A lot of resurfacing of those emotions that someone may have been tucking away or putting under the rug, or a little bit of leftover emotions, because all these things keep showing up, not to make your life hard or difficult or hold you back, but to help you see it for what they are and acknowledge it, own it, so that you can go into your subconscious belief system, where you begin to adopt these beliefs that created these emotions, such as fear, such as self-doubt, such as difficulty trusting, such as some feelings of shame that's restricting you, and feeling lack, that you always feel like you need to chase and you need to plan ahead, you need to control everything, and that's what you've been living with in survival. And when we have these emotions, the reason why it feels restrictive, it's not because someone is trying to put you in a box, but it's because of our own belief systems, that on a subconscious level, meaning not consciously, you agree that is based on negative emotions. So for example, if you have a lot of fear, like let's say you have lack mentality that you didn't realize, it could create a lot of attachment to the money, attachment to material things. And once you create that energetic cords to something, an attachment, you constantly think of it, it's constantly in your mind, and you start to feel restrictive because it's tied to your energy field. So it's constantly pulling you back. So that's where that's how you experience it, as frustration or restriction or lack of freedom. You're not free. Like you're constantly, something is pulling you, and you're not completely unattached or detached. You see? That goes with other people's energy attaching to you, or you attaching to someone's energy as well. So you start to get fixated once you attach to something, and meaning you're constantly giving your attention and focus on that. And for example, let's say you're worried about your level of finance or the money, and then you're constantly attached to that idea, and then you're constantly thinking, how can I make more money? I don't have enough right now. And you're worried about not having enough for the next month or the month after, or however. The train of thought goes into the lack, constantly moving into that cycle, because your attention is heading in that direction without you realizing it, because you're focusing on the lack. You see? Meaning, I don't have enough right now. And deeply, when you go in, it's tied to, I'm not worthy of receiving. You see, it's tied to the self-worth at the end. So that's how it's all tying into it. And then you need to, when you go in, you need to realize on working on your self-worth, that you do not value yourself, that you start to chase after because you've realized that you don't feel you are enough as you are right now. And it leads to self-healing and self-acceptance journey, because there's a lot of self-judgment perhaps that you, on a subconscious level, you've been repeating the cycle or the pattern that you start to punish yourself on a subconscious level if you're not performing, if you're not acquiring, if you're not achieving, obtaining, accumulating material things as your safety net. So that when you have that pattern playing out on a subconscious level, your belief system is that you're not safe who you are in this moment. So your program is to constantly run after, chase after something that would provide you that feelings of safety. And for you, it was money, for example. You needed that for your independence. You needed that for certain things that you experienced as negative. So you hold on to it as your safety net. Or you start to buy things that makes you feel happy. So whenever you are sad, you go out shopping, right? And when you buy stuff that you like, it makes you feel happy and it makes you feel worthy. But that's conditional. So when you don't have that provision of the material things, you're going to be deprived of feeling happy, feeling content in this moment, or feeling satisfied in this moment. And that lack makes you feel unsettled, which creates a lot of anxiety within your mind, within your emotion, and it affects your physical state, and your nervous system is all interconnected. So that's how it works. And right now we've been working in March with a lot of different emotions that may be different for uniquely themed for different individuals, right? That you needed to look into it so that you can free yourself a little bit further from the idea of judgment that we've been heavily programmed with. So that idea of judgment could be from everything, could be from your parents, could be from your ancestral line that had been handed down from one generation to the next on an unconscious state. So it's now your time. It's that you are conscious enough to recognize the pattern and break that cycle for yourself and for the entire generation. Or that you realize your self-worth more, that you don't always have to achieve, you don't always have to be something or do something, give more in order to feel loved or in order to feel valuable, that you are worthy for existence. And that concept or idea is very hard to grasp, right? As humans on earth at this time, because we are playing with a lot of heavy programmings in the matrix. So that is something that you may have been going through in one way or another. So this is just an example. Or that you may have suffered or had to deal with the idea of guilt, because you've been programmed with parents who guilt tripped you whenever you did something, chose what is best for you. They wanted what is best for them and made you doubt yourself. It made you feel like you made a wrong choice. It made you feel like perhaps that you should be, this idea of being good versus being bad. And so you needed to look into the area that where you experience shame when you are being a certain way, that your parents or people around you conditioned you or projected that was bad. So you start to, on a subconscious level, feel ashamed of that part of yourself, to be who you are, that is preventing you from sharing authentic self and feeling freedom to express yourself as you are totally in all aspects of yourself. So in a sense that we are all multidimensional, right? We have something light and dark, right? You can be soft and fierce at the same time, for example. But when you were fierce, when you were extremely passionate about something, you were being punished for expressing those energies, perhaps, or vice versa. You had to be this nice girl or nice boy or a good boy, good girl, a Barbie, a Ken to your mom and dad, right? So it's all suppressed. That created these ideas of good and bad within yourself that we call judgment. So on a subconscious level, you start to judge yourself with these standards, or the dual standards within yourself we call duality, that you are good or you're bad, constant self-comparison. So it was to realize that you needed to accept yourself, accept all of your aspects, and that you had to come out of your own courage and strength to start expressing who you are, all that you are freely, because in this world everyone's going to have their own projections have their own interpretations, even though you try to explain, make them understand, make them hear you. If someone's not ready or not on the same resonance, it's likely that they will have their own story or the narration. You see, that's how this human interaction or this energy works in this dimension. So you realize that's how the nature of things are on this planet right now. So what you need to do is you need to just simply remember who you are and be your own light, and start to express all of that you are without discriminating what is light and what is darkness within yourself, because that was just a concept that you settled in order to fit in order to be liked, in order to feel accepted, feel safe, feel liked, feel heard. So usually people who's in the early healing stage or a lot of the ego state, they'll be like, hear me out. Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I'm so this and that, blah, 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 blah. Like, they go on telling you about what it meant for them, how they're doing this and doing that, like in comments or something like that, for example, or it could be anywhere or to someone. And then when they feel like that the other person is not hearing them, not giving them the attention, they get pissed off. So in that moment of you, someone, like, let's say for example, like I get pissed off when that happens, you have to go in with self-awareness, just observe those emotions, because that's not who you are. It's just a reaction, and the programming coming out is like detoxification. When you go through like withdrawal symptoms, you can't have that food anymore, or you can't have that alcohol, for example, then you will say all this stuff to the person who's not giving you the alcohol that you need, for example. That's like on a physical level, but it's all interconnected. On an emotional level, detoxification also looks like that as well. If someone's not giving you what you want, that you have an expectation of, and it could be different for everyone, you start to get pissed off, meaning you start to lash out on everyone around you, right? So that's how you become a slave, dependent on the outside sources to make you feel whole. So that was basically the idea in March with this water energy, the Neptunian energy, the Piscean energy that we were working with. And so a lot of the withdrawal symptoms like that could have been played out. And this is happening in the collective, and also it's different for everyone at this time. For people, very few groups of people, right, who have been working and they're on a certain vibrational level, they're in a very peaceful, joyful state. They may delve a little bit deeper in a meditative state to acknowledge certain emotions, but it could be different. Some people go into extreme, like, emotional stuff. Some people very lightly. So it's all different right now depending on where an individual is on that consciousness level. But when you start to compare, how come that person looks fine while I'm going through hell? That's the question that you need to ask yourself in the first place. Why am I comparing? Why am I tying my sense of self in this moment, always trying to measure that against someone else? And so this leads into the Aries season that we are welcoming right now. That I was getting a little bit thirsty. I need some watermelon. And also what I saw was with this big watery energy, this Mars Neptunian energy, a lot of people, in a way, with this energy were forced to confront their own emotions in the subconscious, and with that, how it's affecting the collective is to help see the deceptions. So anything that was kind of holding you back, or meaning trapping you, was the result of the programming. So big one is the religion. So for example, it could be your parents or caretakers when you were a child or a baby, adult figures, or even teachers at school, that they had a lot of these concepts, and with these concepts they start to restrict you, and how they restrict you is usually with punishment and reward. So for example, the basic system is the schooling system. So now we are moving out of that school system slowly. With internet and AI, people are self-educated, can self-educate easily, and they can focus on their passion, what they enjoy the best, what they're meant to do in this lifetime, rather than going to school, study all the subject, study for tests, memorize everything. And when you follow their rules and their standards, you get an A, you get 100 marks, and that's how you're programmed to measure your worth, right? It's all very conditional. So that's how the programming of the good boy, good girl, Barbie, Ken idea, right? You listen to your teachers, you listen to your parents very well. You are complimented whenever you got A's. You are an A student, and that's how you used to identify, and that's how you used to measure. So when you go to college where all these A students gather and now you're getting C's, you commit suicide if it's an extreme case. And that usually happens a lot in a lot of the Ivy League schools. I don't know about nowadays, but that's what happened when I heard like many stories, because they can't stand them being this failure, and that idea of success and failure has been settled in their subconscious programming as whether I get A or B or C. So if I get if I get C, or if I get B, or if I get even A minus, that's a failure to me, and I can't stand it. It creates a lot of anger, frustration, meaning hatred towards yourself. You are hating yourself for performing so bad. You see how that's it all tied together? That's where seeking of the approval of the outside sources coming in. And you've been living off of other people's validation. Your parents complimenting you, saying that I'm so proud of you, or other people saying that to you, or you achieving an award at school or at this competition. However it is, if that was the programming that was very heavy, that's leading to the idea of perfectionism as well, right? You always have to be perfect to be liked. You always have to be perfect to be loved. And so you don't see yourself as worthy of being loved or lovable or valuable if you are in a certain way, that you are putting all this limitation or restriction on you without realizing, and you start to live chasing after other people's validation. And when someone says, oh, you are this, you're not that, it affects you more than how you see yourself. You see what I mean? So you start to react, and that's where you create a lot of attachment to other sources once again. So they have power over you. They dictate how you feel, how you think right now in this moment, you see? And so some people say, I don't give a shit about what other people say. I don't give an F about, you know? But when you're in that like angry state, it's more that you need to go in. Why do I have this anger? That I don't give a shit, or I don't give a F. The goal is to have non-reaction because you do not have that in your belief system anymore. When someone says something, non-reaction, because it is them. It is revealing who they are, and what they're talking about and sharing is sharing who they are inside. But this takes, the healing journey or the empowerment journey is to confront, also realizing, and also to learn new concepts, the new higher perspectives and consciousness. It has to integrate all together. So for some people, it was an integration period. For some people, it was like a triggering moment, awakening period. Some people, it was like going through in the midst of the chaotic dark tunnel moments. So all these kind of moments were to detoxify, purify your energy field in March. And so you can see through the deceptions in the system, deception in the matrix, deception within your parents' conditioning of who they really are, what they were doing. And with this, what's going to take place more on is you will start to move away from the blood family to soul family or the soul tribe. Because in the age of darkness experimentation or the survival, blood is thicker. That phrase or that concept that has been handed down had been pretty important in order to achieve a mission or goal that we need to win. So when you look at all this historical dramas in all these other countries, they use their kids, they use their parents, they kill each other, they kill their parents, they kill their children or cousins or siblings. However, they manipulate, and they've been doing that through a lot of programming, right? The child usually from an early age are exposed to hearing stories from a mom who hated the emperor, let's say, and she's a concubine and she had a son, and with the son she now has an opportunity to make her son a king so she could be of power. And so she's scheming, she's strategizing, she's manipulating, and she's feeding certain stories to the son. And now the son grows up listening all these stories from her mom, and now the son immediately starts to see the emperor as an enemy. You see what I mean? So this is very common in the historical drama, but this is taking place in a lot of the households. The power struggle, the invisible power struggle that we see as normal and nothing and acceptable. And so once you start to see that, you will start to feel and see who sees you for who you are, and that they value you for all that you are. And if they're not, you are starting to walk away and choose different situations or even isolation or alone times, because that's part of the cycle of the journey of the spiritual awakening or enlightenment. To remember who you are, you need to go in. So with that, we lived off of a lot of false promises, right? Promises that if you do this, I'll give you this. If you do that, I love you. If you say this, if you do what I want, what I'm gonna give you this, that's going to make you feel loved, heard, seen, or however, like valuable. That's from all different systems, from parental system. Perhaps you grew up with parents who made you a lot of false promises, and you were constantly living with a lot of feelings of disappointment or even betrayal within your blood family line. That usually when we come in here, we have soul contracts. So when we have soul contracts, we develop very, very strong emotional attachment, especially to mothers and fathers. Even though they don't have a lot of healthy habits. And there's a purpose why you came in and have this soul contract. But now, as we're doing a lot of the karmic clearing and karmic rebalancing that we've been keep talking about, especially since last year very heavily, like karmic justice and all of that, is because it's time. The energy shift is taking place. We are no longer to be in this karmic ties or relationship or dynamic. We need to merge with our soul family, soul tribe, soul mates, however you resonate. And when we do that, the light increases immensely. All this like-minded soul, the energies that are on the same resonance, because it's going to create a huge effect of love. That energy of love amplifies, and that's part of the ascension journey right now, or the timeline for Gaia's ascension that we need. So that's what's written sort of in the blueprint, I would say, and we're just all going through it. So I'm just sharing like a bigger picture of how it's moving right now. Just something coming up. So a lot of these false promises, for example, in politics, we buy into it over and over, right? If you get me elected and put me in power of position power as this senator or president or however it is, mayor, I promise you that I will make your life beautiful, make your life easier, safer. We put our power over to them. We handed our power over to them. Or like in religion, we worship Pope, right, from Italy. People line up to just touch his hands, or as if his God is still going on. It's all part of the programming. So when you're programmed heavily with that, no one's making you do that, but you are going to do it automatically, you see? So you're constantly putting your power over, handing your power over to someone, so that your life is dependent on that person, on what they do, what they choose to do, you see? But you handed them your power to them. And just like that, the people who seek power can only abuse power. People who do not seek power, they do not abuse it. They operate from pure heart, pure intention. So we have to now have the eyes, the third eye we've been working with heavily the past few months, and coming into that culmination point in March in Pisces season at the last zodiac, closing out this chapter to see through the deception and further detoxify all those things, emotions that is connected to the programming, the subconscious belief system, the limitations that you been buying into, therefore you've been placing on yourself, that you see that circumstances are paralyzing you, making you feel frustrated, but it's because it was coming into you to help you notice the lessons in the situation for you to realize something. But if we continue to disregard or put it under the rug and stay reactive, is how it's going to keep showing up until we recognize and release that energy out. You see how that works? So that's why we say energy like attracts like, in that sense. Once you release the energy, you have nothing to attract that anymore. You see, once you release lack, you have nothing to attract lack anymore. So you're going to start to attract different things that you are holding inside, a different energy. So when you start to love yourself, you will start to be with people who love you in the same way. It's because you see yourself that way. You see how that works? So everything is like a mirror in a sense. So there was like a Buddhist saying that people, when someone hates you, there's a lesson. When someone does this to you, there's a lesson. So everything is like a mirror. So once you understand this concept, you're going to use that as your tool and apply on your healing and empowerment journey. So whenever you react to something or feel very discomfort or uncomfortable emotions that you just want to run away from, or you want to escape by watching something. You just want to entertain yourself with other things and forget about it. It's only going to delay the process. And when someone is in the healing phase, and when they say it's only going to delay, it's going to show up again, you don't want to hear that, right? You just want to have it get over with, and you want to hear something like, you are free, congratulations, right? You don't have to deal with it anymore. So that's where the idea of surrendering comes, that we needed to also adopt. Surrendering, whatever comes is coming to you because you need it in that moment. That's how the universe is providing and caring and constantly loving, nurturing you. Meaning, whatever happens is for me, is the power. You see? When we don't sit in that energy, what happens is you constantly start to play out the programming in your subconscious of what is good, what is bad, what is positive, what is negative, based on your own experiences and unique conditioning that you received. And you start to apply meaning, certain meaning, meaning your own narratives, meaning on projection, based on your belief system in your subconscious. So you start to, when something happens, oh, that's a good sign. That's a good omen. When this happens, oh, that's bad. That's a negative sign. And you start to fear, you start to withdraw, you start to get afraid. And that lowers your vibration. So what would you do? I'm going to ask, what would you do? What would be your first reaction, or the story that comes to your mind? You had this, you got this favorite, your favorite ice cream that you were craving in that moment. So you were super excited, and then you were walking, and this, it was in the ice cream cone, and this ice cream scoop fell on the ground. How would you react? Okay. So this is another, like a game or the training that I'm trying to help you with, if for those of you who are going to resonate on a genuine level. So how would you react to that? Honestly, because right now self-honesty is so key that you cannot lie to yourself anymore. Looking through the deception means you have to also look through your own deceptions, your own lies that you used to tell yourself to feel like you're a good girl or a good boy, a good person, versus bad. The society or the schools or the parents or other institutions made you believe through programming, right? So if you show anger, then you are being bad, you are being punished. So you start to repress that emotion, and it starts to accumulate, blocks your heart, blocks your throat. You don't want to, you can't communicate your own emotions because you don't want to show that side of yourself to some people or other people. You can't be natural and authentic, right? So who put you in that idea? And who reinforced it through the mechanism of reward and punishment? When you were behaving in this way, when you were saying these things, they were feeding you, complimenting you. Other times, you are grounded. They use the word grounded in US, right? You go into your room, go to your room, don't come out until you think about what you did wrong. And then in that moment, you are learning to repress, learning to, and you secretly get angry at your parents, but you can't do anything, so you become powerless. And so where you develop your wants and needs to revenge, retaliate, And with that energy, you're always cautious of other people doing the same to you, holding secret retaliative feelings, because that's what you have inside. It's a mirror, and you're constantly afraid of other people's repercussions, so you don't say what you mean, or you don't express how you really feel. So it goes vice versa like that, you know, for another example. So going back to the ice cream situation, how would you react when the ice cream fell that you really wanted and desired? And you can react or respond, right? You can react, what the hell? Or you can be sad, oh my god, I lost my ice cream that I love. Or you can get angry, like what the right? Or you just be like numb. It's like, what? And then you freeze. Like another response would be like freeze response, right? Or you could have, oh well, and then just, well, that's, I'm sad, I'm pissed, but if this, you know, I'm just gonna get over it. Something like that, you know. I'm just giving like different examples, right? It's all controlling the emotions in different ways or reacting. Another way to respond is that, oh, okay, that's what happened. And when you have a different outlook or perspective that everything is happening for you, this is meant for something. And so you do not have any other meaning other than that is happening for me, and this is meant to happen in this exact moment, because you're always in the right place at the right time, you see? When you have that, you don't go into that narratives in your mind or the stories of what's good and bad. And so it drops, and then, well, the ants could have that, or the other, or living organism can enjoy my favorite ice cream of the day. It's my treat, or universe's treat. And then you could get another ice cream, go and get another ice cream, you see? And when you respond in that way, you don't lower, you do not replace your feeling of joy or excitement, or you do not restrict that immediately. Limit it with your thought process, you see? Oh, what the hell's that? In that moment of saying that voice or the sound or the frequency, that is the magic within you, the power of the spell. You're creating this energetic frequency, boom, limits your joy and excitement. That's where we call limiting beliefs, limitations, restrictions, frustrations, right? Or you could blame someone, oh, that guy who was putting the ice cream, they should have put it hard so that it doesn't fall off, right? You blame other people or situations, right? It restricts your joy in that moment. It limits your excitement. All of a sudden, instantly shifting, you see? Instantly shifting from extreme positive to extreme negative. That's how emotions work, instantly like that, you see? It could go in the other way around, from negative to extreme positive instantly. So it's all here, all in the mind, in the subconscious. You see, the way we see, how we see it, what we choose to align with, you see? So you drop your ice cream, you feel good. Oh, everything is abundant. You are given this chance to provide this ice cream for someone else that could enjoy this or whatever. You still are in that state of excitement and joy, and you go to the store and you get a new ice cream. Or if you're like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go for this one, you choose to align with something other other things that make you feel joyful in that moment. You see, you don't have to pull yourself down with your own ideas and concepts in your mind. So that's where we've been working on, right? And that's where we are heading towards in the Aries season, is what I'm going to share. So that in the previous video, or the latest video, I asked you what makes you feel joyful, what makes you feel inspired, and what makes you feel passionate. It's in line with that energy, getting prepared so that we are in a high vibrational state. And it's not because someone put you there, but it's because your mind or the mental shift happened. Your consciousness shifted. You see, we call that ascension, or however you resonate, your higher timeline, highest timeline, however you resonate. It's the consciousness, the level of consciousness. And this was not available because of the energy on Earth and Gaia. The maximum level was 3D. For example, now it's up to 7D available. At the beginning of 2024, we were having the 6D level of frequency here on Earth for the first time, which I mentioned around that time in the video. A lot of the Pluto energy coming in, energy from Andromeda, for all these different activations, light codes that we were able to access and download. And so the more we get into that state, what happens is we are merging with our soul aspect and operating with our soul aspect rather than the ego, and with the higher self. So with this idea of surrendering was to help us with that process in March. So when we surrender, we're not trying to chase. The basis is not lack. Basis is not fear anymore. The basis is more joy. Basis is more abundant. Basis is more I'm worthy. I am worthy because I exist. It's not because of something else. And I am enough as I am right now in every moment. It's not because of something else. It's not conditional. So that's tied to the idea of non-judgment, or that idea of Christ consciousness, or unconditional love, however you resonate with these terms, right? So that you're not attached to anything. And then when you surrender the ego, you allow the higher self to guide you through, so that you're always in the mode of receiving the divine feminine energy, divine feminine rising energy, so that you're not always planning in detail, making plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. If something goes wrong, this, then trying to control every little thing, while the universe say, I can help you too. I always guide you too. Allow me to help you. Allow me to guide you. That's the divine idea, divine guidance. And we all have that. We all receive that. Well, when someone says, how come they always seem to live on the flow, getting whatever they need and want, but how come it's not coming to me? The truth is, it's coming to everyone. It's just about the state you're in. But when we constantly project or compare or blame, you're sitting in the energy of dissatisfaction, which is the lack. So it's always going to make you feel like you need to chase and compete and compare. And also the Aries energy has a lot of competitive energy as well. And we went into the Mercury retrograde in Pisces and Aries, I believe. And we are still in the Venus retrograde. It is all helping us to reflect on this, where you are constantly comparing and feeling the need to compete, So it's like this, for example, especially like with divine feminine or that energy, you could be both men and women and embody this energy, right? It has nothing to do with gender, but more like the energy within oneself. And then one is awakened to that divine feminine energy. You surrender, meaning you live in the present moment. Meaning you're not going around expecting things to happen, which is control. Why? Because you're expecting these things to happen because you have this concept in your subconscious that that's believed to be good, you see? And so you're making sure on a subconscious level, though you're not unconscious, that it goes in that direction, that way, and that outcome. So it's very much outcome fixated. You see, that's control. That's the ego mind working operation. So when you don't have that outcome coming in, that what you expected, you have this subconscious fear that something could go wrong and that it could lead you into the negative that you don't want. That's the survival, right? And so you're constantly planning to ensure, to make sure that you have that exact outcome that your ego thinks is good or positive for you. When in fact, everything is happening for you. That's the neutral perspective of what is taking place energetically. Whatever that you are receiving, it is you who's giving meaning to it. You are the creator. And also you are to now shift from outsourcing whatever that's around you, whether it's material, other people's validation or love, affection, to fill in the void within you. When you start to sit and realize that you are the source of everything, you become the source. So you're not outsourcing, but you are the source. You are the creator. Whatever happens, you have the power, just like the ice cream. You have a choice of reacting or responding and understanding the bigger picture. Just like this, how the karma works in a neutral sense, which I explained in another video like earlier, perhaps like earlier this year or year before. The concept of karma is that what goes around comes around. When we say that, there's a lot of hidden concept that has been programmed into people with the idea of punishment and reward, meaning false promises through religion and through a lot of these different institutions and systems, right? If you do this, we guarantee you safety, we guarantee you this. But at the end, it was all to acquire what they needed or wanted from you. So it's all the taking stance. We are being manipulated, and therefore we experience a level of betrayal, and therefore on a subconscious level we start to mistrust, right? So at this time the heart chakra is very much blocked, and it's hard for us to trust. Allow the divine to come in and surrender, and we are working on that energy now. So for example, when that happens, the divine comes in and we're like, no, I'm gonna do this, I know what's better, right? Or you have all these meanings that's dictating you, governing you. You're always comparing. Oh, I go to Osaka and all I'm focusing on is trying to figure out how come this melon is so much better than Bangkok, or how come like my experience here is so much this, the pros and cons, right? And the fruits here are better than here, or the fruits there are worse than this, or instead of, you can still have that, but it's like more the basis of it, which could be the gratitude and enjoyment. So when we get fixated, for example, it's like this: you have to have this particular type of fruit for your breakfast every single day as your routine. Whatever that is, for your health purposes, your beauty purposes, from a certain country. And then you're on the move, it's like you're always going to be bitter about it. It's like, oh, I'm always on the go, I'm always traveling, I have to do this, and it's not available in the country, it's not available over there, so blah blah blah, right? Or you could go to a place and always enjoy the abundance of that energy in that local place, and you explore. You are always grateful to discover the local, unique local fruits, unique local groceries, plants that you are being provided everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, you're being provided. See, that's the surrendering, allowing, acceptance, enjoying state, gratitude state. When you go get fixated, attached, I must have it because I believe, the ego believes that it's good for my skin, it's good for my bone, it's good for my skin, that particular. And where does it come from? It comes from social media, people talking, doctors talking, teachers, professors, institutions talking that this is what you gotta eat and it's going to help you do this, that's the best. You must have that. Living with constant supposed to, need to, must to, supposed to, however you resonate with these terms, it's the limitation. It's limiting the joy in this moment now. So when the Aries is aligned, it has a lot of that childlike, innocent playfulness with like the Fool's energy in the tarot. It's very excited, it's ready to explore, it's ready to enjoy, it's on the journey, on the adventure of discovering and starting fresh. When it's wounded, unbalanced, Aries is the me first attitude, right? It's me, 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 me. You gotta hear me, you gotta hear me. You gotta see me, you gotta see me. You gotta recognize me. You gotta acknowledge me. And when you don't, this fiery energy is going to get feisty and angry at you and blame you for how you make me feel in this moment. What you should have done, what you should have provided for me, but you weren't giving it to me, so I'm angry at you right now. Or that it's me, 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 me first, so I have to be the first. I have to be the one that wins. I have to be, right? Winning the race. Very competitive energy. This fiery, passionate energy is all used up in the competition energy, right? And among women who are disempowered, they always compete with other women, right? Behind the backs. Usually nobody has the guts to say all these things on your face. So what people do in the collective, we go behind and say, oh, look at her, look at him. And I don't like that. Why does she do that? Why does he do that? You see? He's like that, and they're making up narratives and stories, right? We look at it on dramas, but we do the exact same thing and we do not realize, right? We only feel good when the drama shows that we can relate to it. That's how they sell the stories, right? But that's what is going on. But when one is empowered, it's whether it's female or male, they want to win together. It's like a win-win because we want to support each other. That's the soul family coming in. The karmic ties, always competing, manipulating. And false promises here and there. And that's where the deception, betrayal, this manipulation, who did you dirty, who did you wrong, and all this idea comes in, right? That's the karmic energy and the chaos. So we need to see through the deceptions. And to be able to do that, you need to face your own deception. Sometimes we manipulate our own stories of what happened because of the trauma to survive. That when I acknowledge what happened as it is, it's going to tear me apart. So I make up different stories to feel survive. Oh no, that wasn't what really happened. That was related to Pisces energies of illusions, right? You create your own illusion. You have different stories. You have different memories when you talk to someone. And they argue over what is true, meaning not true, but they're arguing over what is right. Or arguing over whether I'm right over you, to be exact. You see? I am right. You see, I am right. You are wrong. We argue over this. And we exert a lot of energy. So we need to face our own deceptions, lies within ourselves, where we've been creating all this illusion within ourselves out of survival. That was creating such belief system that made you feel like this, and they are constantly repeating the same cycle or pattern because you're reacting in a certain way until you look into it, acknowledge and own it, you see? So it could have been also religion. You could have grown up with certain religion, and then you had to go to church every day even though you didn't want to. And there were a lot of belief systems that govern you still now today that you need to work on to detoxify. That if you don't do this, you're a sinner, basically. It's conditional. The basis of it is conditioned. But when someone is deeply programmed, they do not have that consciousness to see and recognize that it's conditioned while they're talking about unconditional love that someone is providing if you are being a good person. You see, that's how twisted that is. Also, a lot of the culturing in all these different nations, the nationalism is one of the big things that separates people from one race to another, one skin color to another. We learn to judge on a subconscious level, programming on a subconscious level. That if you're of this race or that race, if you come from this family or that family, my culture is better than yours. Our nation is superior than yours. You see? And it creates all different restrictions, putting diminishing your excitement or joy of living. So for example, I learned recently, the spirit source in Gaia, and we see this from Uganda, that women in Uganda, when they have a dress, if they show their back, you're not supposed, you can't wear that, or you can't wear shorts because it's showing too much leg or something, you know? And that's in their culture. That's restricting self-expression because of that bias, judgment, projection that's been placed on them. And when they receive it, it's a lot of energy of punishment. So they fear this and they can't do that. I cannot do it, which is limitation, right? Or what I learned about Japanese culture of this also, this emotional repression, is that it's not because they don't have emotions or they don't know how to be emotional or they have different opinions. It's because of this culture. It's called, I think, Hansen or something. I'm not quite sure about the name. But it's like you have to always be humble, meaning that idea of definition behind it is you're not supposed to show how you really feel, your opinions. You always have to say, yes, but I hide. I'm behind you. You see, that's all this like mechanical politeness that I was kind of sharing. That it's slowly, I think nowadays, it's more the frequency of the young generation. Like, you know, like it's different when I talk to them. There, you know, I recognize someone's frequency through the voice as well. Their vibration is different. The children here, they're more expressive, and also with the cultural exchange between Korea and Japan has also were all purposely designed so that the younger generations are now more expressive. You know, before in concerts, when they have concerts, they don't sing together. Like in Korea, it's more like outbursts of emotion, and also with the food, what they eat is different. That affects as well. But this is something that you could resonate or not. You could have different experience in Japan and Korea and other countries. It's all unique, right? But just on a collective level, that's something that I've been noticing for most of my life. I've been studying, like, for example, ever since I was a kid, I've been observing and studying different culture, what's going on in the country, through what people say on TV and how people respond. It started to really shift like from 2015, 2016, like for example in Korea, and also what's going on in China is also shifting. And a lot of the people like who's born like the Pluto in Sagittarius generation, they have very different vibration. The energy is different, but I'm talking about like much older generation. So it's been handed, that's one of the example, like the culture restricting. So they are supposed to be polite, meaning hide what they really think, what they really feel, as the idea of being polite or something like that. That comes from that philosophy or that cultural inheritance. In Korea, we have something like that as well. You have to always be something, and it has been very much freed and less restrictive, more and more. But these like cultural codes in all these different countries exist at this time. In England, in US, even like down to cities and cities and towns, they have all different culture, just like the family has different culture. So this is more like, I'm generalizing a little bit here, but that's just as an example, right? And also when you go to Thailand, there are certain cultures that make up certain characteristics of people. In Malaysia as well. Just like that. And I've been connecting and I have the opportunities to talk with people divinely guided. So for example, in Chiang Mai, I met these two girls from China, one from Shanghai, the other one I don't know where. And they said they met in Chiang Mai as well. And one came, she used to be a yoga Pilates teacher in Shanghai. And she came because she just wants to be in the temple, and she enrolled in this meditation, like 1 month temple meditation there. There are a lot of meditation centers in Chiang Mai. And while she's learning like Thai in Chiang Mai University, and the other one is just traveling around. And it was just after I went to the gym, and there was a lot of entertainment rooms in the condo that I was staying in. And they had like a piano room, drum room, where I used to go in, like just play drums and just play piano. And this room was like Pilates room that I never went in. So one day I just went in, and there were these two girls, and I just said hi, And then we just started talking, and because I watch Chinese dramas, and I was just exchanging, oh, I watched these Chinese dramas, and spoke a little Chinese Mandarin words, and like they were really like helping me to remember certain words, and we were like exchanging, oh, I know that drama, I know that actor, actresses, and we started talking, and she shared why she's here, and just at the end, what ended up happening was, I try not to be like a teacher or like, let me help you out with this, because everybody is in a different situation and circumstance. Unless they ask or they need it, it's not my job to interfere with their soul journey, because we don't know what someone's soul journey and soul purpose is. So I'm not the one who's like, oh, I have all the answers, right? And I was just listening, and at first we were just having like this like culture exchange, language exchange, and then all of a sudden, this usually happens to me, people tend to share their own deepest what is going on in the darkness, what they're dealing with. So they ended up like sharing, she ended up sharing like she's feeling unhappy and she's this and that, so she came here. And I just shared the story, like how when I was younger, I used to feel that too, and that it felt like she needed to just, it was all she was focusing on was what she was not happy with. And that's what a lot of the people in Chinese, like China nowadays, with really like intense commercialism and consumerism, always feeling like they're being compared and competed against something, and it's not enough what they have, it's too expensive to this and to that. And she said, oh, she's going to start that course in Chiang Mai University, but she's just like, here it's they don't have the public transport like in China, and I wish they have it more here. Like I always have to take the Grab, which is like a taxi, which is more expensive and blah blah blah. And I knew immediately she was constantly focusing on like the negative, what's not based on her own standards, you see. So I just shared a little bit of my story of how, the gratitude shifted a lot of things. And so all of a sudden, the other girl who was at the corner, her friend, who didn't participate in our conversation, but she was drawing something. And then she suddenly came to me, oh, you know what, me too. And then she started sharing her story, and she started to cry. And she's like, I don't know why I'm crying, but I just want to, it made me cry, and I just want to share this story with you. And she started sharing, but I want my parents' approval. They never approved me, and like I'm so sad, because she was dealing with other theme, more like a sadness, not recognizing her own worth, and her parents were probably very hard on her, and she grew up in a very competitive environment, comparison environment. But she's like, oh, but I still want my parents' approval. And she was like a little baby, like even though she's like over 20, I believe, grown up. And she's like, oh, so he's like, oh, I felt like I'm a mother or something. And then I just shared a little bit, of, the stories, and that, so explained a little bit of how it works, and, that always say I'm grateful, and then shift your focus, and then whatever that you want to do, you can do it. And she's just immediately like a little child. It's like, yes, I can do it. Yes, I'm grateful. And then and like, oh, you're remembering. So it was very like a cute moment. We talked for about like more than an hour, and like the other Chinese girl who's older than this girl who's like she showed her all this drawing. She was really talented, um, and I guess her parents never really recognized or acknowledged her talent. Perhaps they wanted her to do something or be something else other than like a drawer or like a painter or artist or something like that. I don't know the full story, but and so the other girl ended up teaching me the Pilates because there was a machine there. But it was very interesting. Like they explain what's going on in China, all this like comparison and all of that. So they had me tap into the energy in China a little bit through them and with my interaction with them. So I thought it was just first friendly like exchange talking about Chinese dramas that took place. So everyone's going through this different journey right now. Like talking of culture, they're all different aspects in culture, something good, something bad, or it could be unique to everyone. Some could recognize it as good while some recognize it as bad. So it's just all about opinions, right? And also the nationalism once again, that I am this, I am that, you're this, you're that. That is the separation. But once we realize that we are all from the same source and we are part of the source, that we are all abundant creator, until we recognize it, with this programming, we're going to fight over, take over, trying to get something out of someone because you don't see yourself as the source, you see yourself as the lack. So in Aries season, as we enter it, we are, what I'm going to share is coming is that we are going to deal with a lot of these issues, continue to confront with the false promises, because we need all this energy out for a lot of reformations, restructuring in all parts of society, to be rebuilt for the new earth, especially with a lot of technology coming in really fast and evolving really fast with AI and everything. It's going to create more division and chaos for quite some time, as there are many different groups, people who are in a very high vibrational state, who are in a very low vibration, who are in the middle range, just waking up, dealing with certain issues, and still having this heavy energy of comparing and competing to measure one's worth. But from Christ consciousness energy is constantly supporting us at this time, and higher light codes are supporting us to deal with these vibrations at this time. And so as we go into it, it's all part, a larger picture is to dissolve the boundaries that separated between nations and cultures, and it's already taking place with the technology like social media, right? Everywhere I go, even to Egypt, I don't know about Africa now, but there are certain commonalities that people are starting to have and exchange and relate to, because it's like, for example, another thing is mukbang, right, which was developed in Korea. This you show you're eating to people, and then it created a lot of satisfaction to the viewers. And then that's one of the things that I'm familiar with, that I can share as an example at this moment, right? And all these different cultures, they have different things, but they're sharing these things, and the trends are spreading all around. It's part of the oneness, dissolving of the separation barriers between cultures and nations. What's allowed in one country, what isn't allowed in one country, what's acceptable in one country and culture, what's not acceptable in one's culture, is all these separations and judgments, right? And projections. So we need to dissolve this by first merging with our own self, by looking into our own deceptions, our own urge to compare and compete, to measure our worth or sense of self, of where I am. You can remind yourself, I'm always in the right place at the right time. Again, you can use your own music of your own frequency. That is the words. That is a spell. Same, I am abundant, I am safe, I am divinely guided, I am healthy, I am whole, right? I am joyful, I am excited, I am grateful, I am content, and I am honest with my own feelings. The more you say these things, it's going to create a new programming that's going to help you elevate your consciousness. That is your frequency. And that's going to help you see through the illusion so you can get out of the matrix and join new earth, basically. You need to get out of the matrix programming. That is the fundamental necessity, is what I'm going to share. So we are working with all these different energies right now, and in Aries season we are kicking off new with that. What I'm seeing is the tarot in, the Fool's card, just like the ice cream. You don't have to feel bad that you chose to, in your mind, what came was angry, or what came was sadness, what came was disappointment. It's okay. Nobody's judging you. Or you have to start to adopt that judgment was from my own conditioning, from my parents or teachers or society, that I have adopted. But I can have those angry moments, I can have those sadness moments, I can have those disappointing moments. Just acknowledge as they are, and then you can learn that you have other choices to respond, not only in that direction or those options. You can, for example, as I gave the example, you can choose response like, oh, this is, ants can enjoy my ice cream too. I'm sharing my ice cream with them. So you can say, thank you, universe, for allowing me to share this abundance with other creatures, and thank you for giving me the abundant choice to get me another ice cream or get me other things for myself. And if you ran out of money and that was your last penny that you used all your money for, you just say, thank you for allowing me to give me this opportunity to help me, help others, help these creatures, or learn something about myself through this reaction that I had, right? I realized. And then the moment you shift energy, something that's in match to that could take place when you are not in a place of seeking or out of expectations, because you're genuinely feeling that in your heart. That's only, you cannot deceive yourself that I'm feeling grateful just only with words, because that false promises were a lot of the words, not the true genuine intention, right? So that's why we gossip behind someone's back usually. Why don't we do that in front of others? Because we have fear of being retaliated, you see? Because that's what you would do. So it goes around and around and around in circles. That's why you have to choose your friends wisely, people who you surround yourself with. if they're not seeing you or valuing you, appreciating and reciprocating, you have the power not to choose them, right? Walk away. And if you're still choosing them, you have to ask yourself honestly, what is it making me choose them when I know that they're not recognizing or seeing my value or the value in the love that I give, right? So it's all tied to that idea that's leading us to help express who we are fully as we are in our authentic truth. That is a very high vibrational state. So the truth, love, joy, authenticity, integrity, honesty, these are very high vibrational energies. And so that's where the new leaderships come in, so-called, in all parts of the society. We need those people who are in that elevated state of mind, consciousness, who's not in power to seek power, that's going to abuse power, you see, the pure intentions, the pure heart. So that's how we are going to rebuild the new golden age, is what I'm going to share for a message in this video that I feel called to share for some reason at this time. So perhaps I'm going to finish eating or eat some more. I don't feel like, to be quite honest, I don't feel like eating that much anymore, but I enjoyed sharing my food. That's part of my joy. I enjoy sharing all these recipes or recording a bit how I'm doing on Patreon nowadays, and all this like handcraft that I'm enjoying here. I don't know what's going to happen in the next place I go to, but for now I'm enjoying the process. So wherever you are in this world, wherever you are in your own journey, you may be going through some very difficult, confusing, chaotic, or deep, the uncomfortable emotions, or you could be in a certain state where you're trying to stabilize your high vibrational frequency and integrate what you have learned throughout many years that you've been working really diligently behind the scenes. Wherever you are in your own journey, the last message, I'm getting a very strong Palladian energy right now, also like the Yeshua energy, the Christ consciousness energy. At this particular time, the gold order I shared in the amethyst order, gold order, and then emerald order. Our goal is to awaken the emerald order that's in our DNA, or some starseeds and light workers DNA. At this point, gold order has been activated, so we are continuing to activate our own DNA strands. As your consciousness evolves, it's going to activate another layer in your DNA, another layer that's going to help you transform into the light, meaning from carbon-based to light body-based. That's where all this I'm guided to share by Source, Guy, and my spirit team. More of these like lifestyle tips and health journey and all this like recipes to help those of you who are going to resonate, so they can perhaps start something, is all part of this. Because you need the physical shift, you need the mental, emotional all together, and that we are activating a lot of those strands so that we are to ultimately stabilizing with the surrender state, the flow state, the divine feminine rising idea, that we are going to operate from higher self, That's going to be supported with our monad. Monad meaning where all the wisdom is, all the other lifetime memories and other galactic stuff and all these frequencies, and it's all stored in the monad. So we are constantly going to be downloading that to have certain ideas and visions, to create a blueprint or the gold print, I would say, for the new golden age, and start rebuilding the system, rebuilding, restructuring, innovating. So to innovate, we need new concepts, or we need new eyes to see, or ways of seeing, or however you resonate. So for example, like when I was studying contemporary art, there was this artist that revolutionized, and his art form was experiential art. I forgot the name of the artist. I believe it was like 1950s or 60s. And he had a concert, and the concert was silent concert. So you go into the concert hall and you sit, that's it, because he believed that silence is part of the music as well, which is a very important component. When we listen to music without the pause, there's no harmony. So he started to incorporate that concept, and the audience would come in and they would expect something going on, and they don't hear anything, and they start to experience what silence means. That was another performance art. And another artist that I studied was Carl Andre. He was a sculptor. I believe he's an American artist, and he's the one who took in the idea of the space as the sculpture. So he has this famous brick series where his installation or art installation is placing bricks, one brick and then space, another brick and then space. So his concept, or the conceptual art based behind his art, was he also counted space, invisible space, as a part of the canvas or the energy that he was sculpting. So when he places a block, brick, it's breaking, cutting the space. So that was his concept. So it kind of revolutionized or opened up new ways of seeing for a lot of different artists after that, right? And then after that, new artists came inspired by these concepts, creating different arts. So something of that nature has been coming through, that we need to introduce these new level of consciousness or higher perspective continuously, and share these things so that people, they will resonate and they will receive this in divine timing. So we are working for those souls continuously. They may not at this time, but they may later. So we are being called to, as light workers and earth angels, however you resonate, to plant seeds, because you have walked through those path of the darkness to realize the light within you, right? So that's how it came. And that isolation period where you may have to walk away from certain blood family members, close friends, or relationships, or however you resonate, and one may experience a lot of withdrawal symptoms because they're used to that physical support, but where they have to rely on their own spirit self or the spirit team for guidance, that could lead to a lot of feelings of isolation or loneliness, or the sense of not being loved and supported, which is part of the illusion game. So personally, I have experienced all of that, right? Where you felt betrayed, you felt disappointed, you felt sad, and then it goes back and forth, because there is strong karmic attachments So there's whole other journey. So we're still in the early phase of this ascension or the new golden age. Um, that's the more you do it, you are going to create more room for the light to come in as you shed old baggage, meaning all these attachments created what you were supposed to do for them, what you needed to do for them. And so you're detaching from all these external pressures, external obligations that you used to carry with yourself, that others placed upon you. All of those things, whether from family or workplaces or certain relationships, situations. It could be different and unique for every individual, but in one way or another, at large, from a higher perspective or from a generalization perspective, that's where we are walking away from. So you merge with your own soul. So you're constantly having to choose your soul evolution over past attachments that used to give you certain comforts. So that's where the idea of getting out of the comfort zone comes in constantly, and trusting comes in constantly, knowing that you are constantly loved. You're being supported by your spirit team. Even though you don't see them, you don't feel their senses on a physical level, that's where choosing faith over fear, right? When we choose faith, we walk into a new direction. We choose fear, then we go back to the old patterns. So a lot of choices and a lot of moving forward energy in Aries season, where we are being confronted further to work with the fire energy to transmute and transcend any of these urges to go back to the old ways, as all these old emotions resurfacing, or what's left over in the subconscious fear coming up. Ego may urge you to go choose what is comfortable, what is known, that is the control, to the old meaning, so that when you are like hesitant, you want to activate the fire energy in the Aries season to transmute all these negative lower vibrational distractions, right? So that you can set a new direction that's going to lead you to your soul path rather than your ego path. And once again, we want to view everything from a neutral perspective, that we need ego, but meaning when the higher self or the soul is the leading one, you learn to surrender, and you start to create from a surrendering place where it's a union within. Your divine feminine, divine masculine is balanced within yourself. You learn to surrender, and you learn to move ahead in divine timing. When it's in the ego, when you give power to the ego becomes larger, inflated ego, right? And it seeks power, it seeks more power, greed, control, which is the old energy. And so you're going to continue to chase after and ways to dominate through manipulation, you see? So you're moving out of that at large, both on an individual level and as a collective. So what is coming is this Chariot card in the traditional tarot right now as I'm saying this. So fire, Aries energy is very much fast moving. So we want to balance out this energies through grounding further, and also to not get into another blame game is what is coming for me to share. So a lot of the Aries energies, especially when you have Mercury in Aries, Moon in Aries, Venus in Aries, Mars in Aries, a lot of when it's unbalanced, it's me first, me, and a lot of frustration and anger. So you don't want to get into unnecessary engagement that creates unnecessary argument based on the ego of what is right and whether I am right, whether someone's wrong, or trying to prove someone wrong, trying to prove myself right. If you're dealing with this energy, you could get a lot of situations where it's going to help you train yourself by facing new situations, whether you can choose to react or respond. So when you are in the situation, just remind yourself that I choose to respond rather than react. I choose to look into my own anger rather than blame or point fingers or compete to win in a situation. And ask yourself that ice cream question: when it falls, how am I going to react? And use that, if you resonate, as a guiding light to kind of sort of reflect and meditate on your emotions, or on these urges or the patterns or this restlessness that may come with this fiery, chariot-y, fool's energy of wanting to jump ahead. So that's where the balance comes in, right? You want to assess the situation before, but at the same time you want to go in divine timing, and not delay with too much hesitancy. So it's all about balance once again. So wherever you are, we're not doing this to get a pat on the back. We are doing this because we appreciate this present moment, is what is coming for me to share. So that's another thing, not to do something to receive reward, but simply meditate on what it means to enjoy this moment, feel content in this moment, that you're not attached to whether you seek this or seek that, or expect this or expect that out of it, but simply losing yourself in this moment and having fun and being playful and enjoying it. That's all the bright energy of the Aries. Realizing also that you are enough in this moment. That is what is coming up. So and also what is coming up is, I feel called to share some guided meditation for those of you who are in an integration process of what you went through in Pisces season, all these emotions and the new energy coming in, to integrate for to support your transition. So we're all in a very transitional, transitory period. We have been. So to support you, or support those of you who resonate with that, because since yesterday, about 2 days ago yesterday, Thor's gold and black dragon came through for this transitional period. So I'm feeling called to, for some reason right now, to share some guided meditation, and then I'm going to record it on later after this and share it on my Patreon for those of you who are going to resonate and need that support at this time. So with that, I'm sending you lots of love, and then lots of encouragement, the reminder that if you need this, you're doing a good job, okay? And remind yourself of that as well. and that you're always being loved or always being guided, even though you may not see it or hard to believe it. So if this was what you needed to hear for your journey at this time to continue on, continue to choose faith over fear. And with that, I'm wishing you a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.